Welcome back, historians. Yeah, Beetlejuice, 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 right? So, welcome back to another great episode, Historically Haunted Vodcast. With a video right here on, Historically Haunted Vodcast, probably sponsored. Not much longer. The season 4 is actually almost done. Season 5 starts October 1st, but it is still sponsored by trucker actor Donnie Green at Barrel Green Logistics and John Green Logistics Trucking Company. Sponsor of the week this week is... Oh, help me out. Who's the sponsor of the week this week? Oh, I have epic fail. I don't remember. I don't remember. Who did I make a sponsor of the week? It's been a shit show of a week. I'm not going to lie, guys. It's really been shitty. Plus, I got a cold, and I got some family stuff going on. So, sponsor of the week. That'll come to me in a minute. Uh-oh, epic fail. So my guest this week is also a client of mine, John Griffin II. I met John at the Warren Convention last year. Thomas Petrick.
Jeff's traveling.
Ah, shit, my newest client, Jeff. Jeffrey David Witham of Jeffrey's Traveling Spirit Boards collection. He's also doing the Maine Paranormal and Horror Convention next September 6th. Oh, man, I suck. All right. So anyway, real quick here, from this is from Sarah French. She's an actress. Scarlett Salem sent me a little intro to the show. Let's do it right.
Hey guys, Sarah French here, aka Scarlett Salem, along with my sweet baby Eden the snake. And you are watching Historically Haunted Vodcast with Adam the Historian Ghost Hunter. Enjoy.
Awesome. Appreciate you, Sarah. Thanks for the shout out. That's very cool. Love your snake, by the way. I follow her on Instagram and shit like that. She's always doing stuff on Facebook with Eden. So, yes, good to see you, Brandon. Appreciate you, man. Also, a client of mine, Viper Paranormal, VPR Paranormal out of Virginia. Another client of mine, Samai, the Enchantress out of Connecticut. Good job at your show this weekend. Awesome. So without further ado, John Griffin II. Let's bring this guy on. Very knowledgeable. He runs he runs, let's see, the Path of Communication. Not just to mention he's just an investigator and he's knowledgeable. I know he's not the cool, let's go for the weekend and pop popcorn and watch videos and pull each other fucking at a haunted convention type of cool. He's not. He's a legit investigator. This dude is brilliant. I'm not shitting you. I really not. John, am I right? You're like a fucking Frankenstein, dude. You're like Frankenstein's monster.
Oh,
Thomas, I see you in 1 minute, Thomas. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just personally, it's a huge interest in me. I love researching, so it's a lot of delving into, all the a lot of the stuff I do. It's not the most interesting for a lot of people. It's like, it's not something that would be like TV worthy. Nobody is going to really care to see the graphs and numbers and stuff like that, but they exist.
I love the nerdiness. You literally are. People, they eat gummy. I'm not trying to knock anybody that's watching that isn't into that shit, but they'll eat gummy bears. They'll go watch Ghost Hunters and then go to a house for the weekend and go, ooh, I'm a ghost hunter. But like legit, you fucking live and breathe this, from rest in peace your brother to everything you worked on with him, rest on his soul. And you're continuing that tradition on in his name and your name. And that's fantastic. Nomar, UFO. What's up, dude from Maine? What's up, UFO hunter? Christina D, hello. How are you? Brandon checking in. Ashley, what's going on, girl? Her and Rob Zombie there. Diego, brother, what's up? So yeah, man, you're in this for the right reasons, and that's why I couldn't be more excited to have you as a client. And I know it's been an up and down fucking year for you, a couple of years maybe, to be fair. But I'm glad you don't give up. I'm glad that you are doing this, man. You're making your brother smile. You know that. You're making a lot of people smile, and I think people need to be on board with the Path of Communication.
I appreciate it. It has been an up and down year. I mean, my brother, when he passed, when he ended his life in 2021, it was a shock to the system. I was actually talking with my COO for our team, Katie Peak, today. We were having a probably about 5-hour meeting, and when we were talking, one of the things I said is that, I had 2021 was the worst year of my life losing my brother, but it seemed like the major pain lasted for at least a couple months. I mean, the pain kept on going without a doubt for years.
Oh, yeah.
This year, for whatever reason, it's just a consistent, just pain. And I'm like, is this year worse than 2021? I can't really say, but 2021, and I'm not going to jinx anything. I still would say 2021 losing my brother is a highlight. But yeah, keep trying to push forward. I mean, there's a lot of people out there that I know, especially that are going through things that, if I give up, they may give up, and I don't want to see anybody give up. It's that, rise to the challenge, and we'll get to the top.
I love this, man. I love your driving spirit, that smiling face of yours when I started at the Warren Convention in Connecticut, and the stuff that you do with the Wildwood Sanatorium. They're big friends of yours, which we'll bring up some evidence you got later. But honestly, dude, you're kind of a solo project. I mean, obviously you get that chick Eden that you do stuff with. Eden or Edgar? How do you say her name?
Eden.
Bennett?
Eden.
Yeah, okay,
Eden
it is
Bennett.
Eden.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we do have a team. There is a team. I know there's a lot of that I do a lot. I'm very active. Our team is in 4 different states. So we got a team member in Maryland, Vermont, Ohio, and then our main base is in New York. And I know, especially for our COO, she's going through a lot right now as well. We're both trying to keep each other up. So it's been hard for both of us to get out, and even especially for Katie. But we're going to end the year right. We are not going to go out. We're going to end the year right.
Good. I want to do everything in my power to get you out there and get these words spread. And like you said, you're not going to conventions just to hobnob, which is fun, but you are down to find out the truth, the path to communication. It's not just a catchy name. You want to know how to communicate to these souls. I mean, and you're trying to get a Patreon together. You accept donations. We'll get into that in a little bit, but the equipment, the knowledge, the way that you write things down, man, it's like Egon fucking Spengler, but a real one. You know what I mean? You're like the nerdy Ghostbuster, but at the same time, dude, you're the one everybody goes to. And like, what does this mean, John? I think you need to be, yeah. And you are well known. A lot of people do know you. What's up from Mars, Maine? Gene Tewksbury, what's going on from Maine? Appreciate you, sis, for checking in. Guys, go check out the Path of Communication. It's a group on Facebook. You and I research, as you see in John's name there. Even just John Griffin II. Follow this fucking cat. Serious stuff. If you're into the serious stuff and you don't want to be just a gummy bear eater on the weekends, and you really do want to find out where your mom is, where your brother is, where your dad is, fucking John's on the right path to communication. See how I did that?
I see what you did there.
So how did you come up with all that whole name and everything? Just the whole, I mean, obviously your brother was a big part because you guys did it together, right?
Yeah. I mean, I formally entered the paranormal field at age 16. I'm 38 now. So it's been 22 years as of last month. And the path to communication actually, that started a while back. It was actually not fully, it had nothing to do with Jeremy at the time. It was originally, it was called Path to Communication. We did presentations back then that it was called that. Then we were doing a Paraflix series called Paranormal Puzzle Path to Communication.
That's right.
And that was prior to Jeremy's death. It had to do with something similar, but it involved our great-grandparents. Then Jeremy ended his life, and it threw a huge wrench in everything, the entire storyline. And that's where it turned into Paranormal Puzzle, Path to Communication that you see now. And then, I should say back in 2021. And then, because Paranormal Puzzle is a part of Paraflix and we wanted to do something separate from Paranormal Puzzle, that's where we started the Path to Communication.
I see. Okay. I see. Okay. I mean, it's like you said, it's and it keeps getting bigger every time I look at you. There's something added, something new, something different. So you guys really need to check out this shit. It's really, yeah. John, you always leave me. I'm always like, man, I thought I knew some shit, and then I read John's stuff, and I'm like, I don't know anything.
The more you do research, the more questions you end up getting. Like, you'll get an answer, and then it leads to about 5 million more questions. So,
yeah, you think you're making progress, and you're like, shit, I made one step forward, 18 steps back. But I mean, you going and stuff. Stuart's asking how you are. I don't know if you know Stuart or not. He's from a paranormal team in Maine.
How's it going, Stuart?
Everybody's checking in. Samaya says hi.
Hey, Samaya.
So, well, let's bring him on. You know him and I know him. We all know him. Who doesn't like a good fucking glorious weirdo? He's going to have some questions for you. Thomas Patrick Gormley, get on.
Up,
come on
brothers?
down.
All right. I think I'm a little slow, but
I still like you. No, just kidding.
yeah. I know. I might have to get rid of this background. So give me a minute.
The background shit slows you down. Yeah. I'll bring you right back. Yeah. So, hey, John, I wanted to get right to you anyway and ask you about some more questions, some fun ones. You know me, I like to start with the fun ones and kind of mix it in. Give me one of your places that you haven't gone yet in your state or even just America that you got to go. What's a bucket list to just see, I guess, and or investigate? Give me a couple.
Oh, I mean, my top two right now are Waverly Hills and Madison Seminary, which we did win a contest last year to have a free weeknight investigation at Madison Seminary. I haven't had the money to get out there, so for gas and all that, but that's going to change in the near future, and I'm definitely going to claim it so our team can get there. We have some experiments that we want to do there, so we're getting there. Waverly Hills is on the bucket list.
Ooh, that's a big one. That's got a big past. You get some crazy info there, brother. Which I guess is off subject, but not really. I gotta ask, what's one of your favorite tools, man? What's one of your favorite?
Honest, it's tough to say. Like I could go as basic as like I like the specific digital recorder I have. One of my favorites is the. I think I may have shown this on your show last time. Is the Spirit Box that Rick Perry from Western Soul Seekers helped create. So there we go. Being able to carry this around, I mean, that's in the Path to Communication episode. I love walking around with this, and so we're doing. And I'll tell you, I've never been, and I think I may have said this on the last time I was on. I've never been a Spirit Box person. Like I'd never been interested in it. It took a very long time. Well, actually, a couple years ago is when the first time I was like, you know what, I really want to look into this, because some things happened. Like my brother Jeremy, loud and clear, came over and said his first and last name, and it
I
was
remember
in
you
his
doing
voice.
that. Yes.
And even that still did not trigger me to want to look into the spirit boxes. I found it interesting. I was like, and it blew my mind. Don't get me wrong, but stubborn me was like, I still don't like this. I like my digital recorder. And then Jeremy came over and directly spoke to me again over Rick Perry's spirit box, and I remember that one. That's when I asked Rick Perry, "Can you show me how you make these?" And I went to his place and made one with him, and that was the result. Jeremy, when I walked in the room, Katie and Rick Perry and some other people, they were doing some experiments. I walked in and I guess something came over the spirit box saying, "Hi, John," and it was Jeremy coming over. I didn't hear it. Katie looks at me and goes, "Hi, John." And I go, "Oh, hi, Katie," in a goofy voice. And she just stared at me like, "Are you an idiot?"
Well, you didn't.
Like, I didn't even notice. And then she points at the spirit box, and I look over. I see a spirit box there, and I'm like, "Oh, what, Jeremy?" And then you hear his voice come right over. He goes, "What do you think?" I'm like, and I took a step back. I'm like, "What the heck?"
What?
So that's when I'm like, okay, you know what? I do all these different statistics on all this type of stuff, and if I'm really going to be on the scientific level, I cannot just go against or go with my own beliefs and say I don't like the spirit box. I need to research this now, because how can I explain that? I've heard his voice now twice, or twice before the spirit. I ended up getting a spirit box or using them, and I needed to now really look into this and try to see if I could find a way to measure this, create some type of measurement system to start identifying trends, anything that I can find to try to figure out how this all works, the physics and all that behind it.
Wow. Wow. I don't think I remember that one. What do you think? Like, you know what I mean? Like that's not a normal pre-recorded thing. You know what I mean? Like that's not. Wow.
That's the thing. It's not pre-recorded at all. And that's the thing. Is like. I'm really trying to understand more about that. Is how this all works. Like, how are they? Because it's not a recorder. It's not like you're playing a recorder and someone's speaking and it's recording through a microphone. There's an antenna on a radio system, so that goes into radio waves, and I'm thinking about all these different physics aspects of how they might interfere. Like, how are they coming over a radio system? And what does this mean for EVPs? What does this mean for the waves that they produce when they speak? Are they producing more than one type of wave? It called into a lot of different questions. So that's where we've been working on a measurement system for it. We thought we found one. We were beginning to do, or well, I should say, I started to try to do the one experiment because I was by myself at Wildwood for it, and it didn't work. I found that the way we were trying to measure it, we did not properly set it up to measure appropriately. So now that we saw the mistakes that we had, we tried it. We're going back to the drawing board. We're not counting any of the stats within there because it's going to seem like it's random. So we went back to it to try to see how we can measure better.
Wow. You literally start from the ground up, like the roots, and then if you find something, you go back to not go back to ground zero, but it seems like you go back and re-examine what's led you to that. Is that right?
Yeah, it's
not retracing steps, but you just.
Yeah, it's what we call baseline research, and any type of research that you do, you have to establish when it comes down to scientific approach, you have to establish a baseline. So that's a baseline for natural causes. That's a baseline for what we would consider paranormal causes. You have to have a basic baseline, and then if there's any trends within there, you look within those numbers. If you notice anything going on within them, that's where you start to really dive in and examine it. And that's where you'll start to break down and start like subcategorizing and all that. So that's where you start seeing the charts becoming really drilled down until you can't drill it down anymore. And that's what ultimately will lead you to what the potential explanation is, or it may be just a partial explanation. Might be a partial explanation to it, and then there's something that you're missing, and that's going to cause you to go back to your baseline and re-examine everything. It's a lot of back and forth. It's not as simple as, once you make the path and you go down forward, that you're never going to go back. You're going to go back and you're going to review everything again. I have EVPs from years ago, apparitions, spirit box stuff that I go back to from years ago, and I re-examine it because something new came up, and it caused me, when I noticed it, like, did this happen with all these other ones? And I start going back.
You remember?
Yeah,
you remember that old one? Yeah, that's fucking cool. I like that because that's. Oh man, you're so deep. You really are. My girlfriend Heather shared it. If you guys want to donate to the fund, to the good cause, right there, hit it up. That's the way to do it. John wants to John, I'm sorry, but Stuart wants to know where you're from. I want to say upstate New York. Is that correct?
It's more mid-state. We're based out of the Albany, New York area.
From the Nesper with Tony Sparrow. Wade Kirby's checking in, John. Try to remember that the spirits do not have a physical body, eyes to see, or vocal cords. They basically manipulate the energy to a frequency that the device you are using can respond to that frequency. I'm saying the exact topic right now, and have for years. Wade's good people. Wade blessed me before I loaded up Annabelle at the Warren Call. And of course, John, you know Wade. You agree with that? Obviously, John, you guys are part of the same. Yeah.
To a degree. where one of the studies which has to do with which I've posted around, called Project Apparition Hall. Part of the purpose of that is understanding the composition of an entity, and so we've started making our way through the like all the audio and such, which is, we've made progress with that. But the one thing we noticed over the years is that we were not making progress with apparition manifestations. Cameras were getting better, technology was getting better, but for us, we weren't really advancing with this. And so we kept on going back to our numbers. And the thing is with the lack of apparition manifestations being documented, at least from our end, we didn't have enough numbers. Like, you catch one apparition, that's great, that's fine, that's dandy. You can analyze that one apparition. But until you get more, you can't study each individual one and start collecting data from all of them. So there are points that we would go to other people's evidence that were collected, start seeing what other people were putting out, whether it be on a TV show or people posting online or whatever, or if it's in a book. And we started to see if there were any similarities based off of that, and started to try to develop our hypothesis based off of that. But the danger of that is that some of those apparitions that might be out there they may not be real, or they, either it was faked or somebody mistaken something as an apparition. So that's the danger of looking around and surveying and trying to collect additional information from that. But at the end of the day, it did lead us down a path. I worked on a hypothesis called the thunderstorm effect, which focused on the composition of an entity. Like, how do they put themselves together? What are the elements that they use to essentially make their appearance? And that led into, after Jeremy's Jeremy's passing, Project Apparition Hall really took on, especially once he appeared. So it's really in depth, it's really deep. And Project Apparition Hall has made some significant progress within the past 2 years.
Wow, this is the real shit, guys. You guys got to be a part of it and check it out. And Heather, real quick too, she's great. I love her. Upcoming events while we're into them with John, the Path of Communication, right here, guys. Thank you, guys. The link is right there. Click on it. Heather, you're awesome. Appreciate that. All right, let's try it again without further ado. Let's bring on the madman. You there, Thomas?
I think I am. I think I'm a little faster now with my
John's gonna start documenting you.
I'm not the scientific guy like John, but I love his theories. We've got to work together before.
Fascinating. Absolutely, yeah,
it is. There's so much that goes into it. That's why I always say go down the rabbit hole again, because he's right. Just when you think it just turns on you. It's a constant learning and trying different things and trying to come up with those theories, putting them into a scientific data sheet, just like John said. Even talking about the apparition, that's very hard to prove, unless there's a place that it's residual and it happens over and over and over again. You could really look at the residual side of it, but just something coming out of nowhere is so hard, because some believe scientifically, like Einstein said, that light bends, and there's a possibility that they're bending from some other dimension that we don't know about, and catching that light at the right time, it's near impossible unless it's something residual that happens over and over again. Like, there's been cases where I think there was a place where a man was shot on the stairs, and every year on the anniversary of that gunshot, it happens. You hear the gunshot go off in the house. It's not coming from outside. It's inside, right where it happened. And the people that live in this house, they hear it every year. It's almost like, hey, let's have a party and listen to the gunshot. It always happens. That's a good way. I forget what house it is. I wish I knew, because that'd be a good thing to study and be able to.
I hear that Jenny Wade House in Gettysburg's got that too. The chick that got shot in Gettysburg making the bread. I hear that there's a hole in the door still, and I hear they hear guns going off. Every anniversary. Gettysburg, anyway. You always hear guns going off, they say.
But to have it to happen the same time every year, that's a good way to measure something like John's trying to do. So, because if it happens every year at the same time on the same day and it's consistent, that's a good way to get at it. So
we got a lot of fucking brain power on the show right now. Holy shit, Jeopardy. So, John, I know I've asked you part of these questions before, but sometimes we get new people watching. We get about 9 people watching right now. Who's one of your go-tos? Who's one of your gurus, I guess? Like, is there some sort of author or scientist or ghost hunter guy you look up to that's alive or dead right now? Besides your brother, of course.
Well, yeah, I mean, definitely my brother. I mean, his intelligence. I mean, like I said before, he built for computers for fun, and so like he was an absolute genius, and you know. From a logic standpoint, Katie Peak, our COO for our team, she's an incredible person. Love her. I love all our team members. Let's just be clear; they are amazing. And
your booking agent.
And
your booking agent. You love your booking agent.
Of course.
I guess I'm chopped liver, John. I don't know.
In the family, Tom's part of the family. Sorry,
I love you. I love you both. I love you both.
Thanks, buddy.
Another person that passed away that worked with us, his name was Dr. John Foldy. He was a professor from State University at Albany. Our research years ago caught his attention, and he ended up working with us for years until he unfortunately passed. But he was so open-minded. He was very scientific, and he was open to everything. I learned a lot from him, and it helped us move forward on, and it also helped with the confidence. He was the one that told me, because I was like, I don't have a degree in any of this stuff. And, here you are, you're calling me a scientist. Like, it's on video. He says I'm a scientist and such, which, yeah, by definition, it goes with that. But I'm like, I don't have an actual degree in this or in any of this. And I said, why did you choose to work with us? And he said, John, there's one thing you need to remember, and that is that researchers have a right to be wrong. So he said that first, and he said on top of that, he said, because he's a professor, he was like, the degrees, he wasn't looking at the degrees. He was not looking at the message or messenger. He was looking at the message. And he said, if he can go back to the information and say that it's creditable, it doesn't matter if it comes from a person who has a GED or a high school diploma or a person with a PhD. If the message can be proven and the work can be shown and such, then that's what you need to go by. And then I brought that information to my brother Jeremy. I said, Dr. John Foldy, because I've always been worried about being wrong. Like you research something, you create a hypothesis, and your hypothesis is wrong, you lose credibility. And that's what Dr. John Foldy was like, no, that's not the case. That's where he said researchers have the right to be wrong. Jeremy came back and said, I'd like to add to that. He said, I would also like to add that every wrong answer is an answer. So basically saying, you open one door, it may not be the answer. Okay, you shut the door, you continue down the hall. Eventually, you're going to get to that answer. You're going to open up that one door, and it's going to be like light bulb. There it is.
Yeah.
So it's never being afraid of being wrong. It also gives you, one, it answers that's not the answer. So you're getting closer, process of elimination, you're getting there. But at the same time, you get to see where you went wrong, so you don't repeat it again. An opportunity to not repeat history. So there's so much, it's such a deep message. Such a deep message.
No one's 100% perfectly right all the time. Even the best fucking detective, even fucking Sherlock Holmes or whatever. You know what I mean? But that's how you process of elimination. Look at Jim Brown from Tombstone Paranormal flirting with us three men. Look at this guy. What's up, Jim Brown, you bastard? Love you, Jimmy. You and Donnie looking awesome, of course. Christine Marie, photographer at the Warrencon. Hello. Well,
I'll see her this weekend. I'll see Christine this weekend.
Just jumping along with you.
Yep.
What is this question? I have a question. Can you put in show something? Can you put in show? I don't know what that means. All right, we'll skip that one for now. Yes, it was research. Great answer. Yes, that's what research is. Because I think, what's funny? You start thinking of things and you start going, oh, no, it's not this, is that. Brilliant. You fucking almost like high five yourself, like process of elimination, the book, So,
well, that actually,
yes, this weekend.
that actually happened and it was more of an emotional response though. Like when we did Project Apparition Hall, we caught the apparition of my brother.
Wow.
Like it was an emotional state, and I ran out. I was going, it worked. And then I had to take a step back for a couple days and go, okay, let me get my research mind back, because this is my brother. It's an emotional moment. I'm having an emotional response to this. I need to get my research mind back. Research mind, I was like, was it anything that we did that caused this? So now it's clicked back into place. And I go, I cannot prove that. It's one picture out of how many? So was it a luck of the draw, or did something really happen? And so we went back. We started to go back to Wildwood Sanitarium. We went to other locations. We took Project Apparition Hall with us, and we started retesting. But the thing is that there were some cases where we did not test it the same way properly. And yes, there's in the scientific, when you do the experiments, you have to do them same place, same way, but also different, and also same way at other locations as well as different. You're supposed to try all these different dynamics. There were some cases where we were trying to do it the same. We didn't do it the same. So, that created a bit of a hassle. We still got data from it, but we couldn't say that. If somebody were to ask us, did we do the exact same measurements and such? No, we didn't. So that's where we have to go back, and we'll count that as this kind of a separate thing. We'll look at the differences that we did, and then we'll go back and we'll repeat, but we're going to do it the other way this time. And then we'll go back to the other locations, how we did this different at another location. Well, now we're going to do it different at Wildwood Sanitarium, so that way we even it out across the board.
Fucking
The one thing you got to take in also is, I know you're looking at the scientific side, but the intention side of it too. When you were taking those pictures, what was on your mind at the time? What energy were you putting out there to create that atmosphere and things like that? Those are the other things to consider. Was your brother on your mind for a certain reason at that moment? And is that why he came to you?
Like manifesting?
So in the pictures, yeah, that's what he said. Yeah.
Thomas, you say like manifesting something? Like,
well, no, yeah. Sometimes your thought process, there is a scientific waves. Your brain gives off waves too. That's why they do EEGs and all that. But it's not staying in your brain. You could set that stuff out. You're putting out your own frequency. As the spirit world, the shell's gone. They're putting out a frequency. Did those frequencies meet because of a thought process that you had, your mind was going through at the time, creating that? It's hard to measure because a lot of people don't know what they were thinking of at that moment where this thing happened. Like, I've had moments where I thought of my mother, and then all of a sudden she's there. Did I give that? I could feel her because I'm an empath. I could feel the energies and all that. And yeah, I've looked at this deeply like you do, because I'm like, I don't want people to think I'm weird or crazy. So I've tried to measure these things over the years. So I do look at things scientifically, but I also look at it spiritually too at the same time. Sometimes those thought processes you put out there, you are putting out brainwave. Even people that, like I said before, that are psychic mediums, like Samea's on here right now, and she'll tell you, is all people are born. When you're born from 1 to 7, your mind stays in theta wave. And what that means is that's why kids are able to see their imaginary friends or what they're seeing. The next time that happens to you is when you're near death, like in hospice. You go back to that theta wave. That's why you see the family coming to, bring you home or anything like that. And then some people, like, Adams, become more aware of things too after his near-death experience, or anybody had something traumatic like you, John, that you went through with your brother. Because that opened you up even more. You have to look at the scientific side of that too, and how your brain rewired because of that trauma, and what you're putting out and what you're receiving back scientifically and also spiritually.
Well, in the spiritual side, I mean, we have to consider that anything from a spiritual standpoint is physics. Everything is going to come down to physics in the end.
Yeah.
So you can connect spirituality to the physics, because they're both going to connect. The physics side is going to answer how spirituality actually works.
Yeah.
The intention part, that's actually, I can't say it's a deep study. We haven't done a deep study on that. We have had someone. Her name was she wasn't on our team, but we were doing a co-op. She's from Ireland. Her name is Elaine. She was looking at. I'm going to remember after the show. I swear, I'm going to remember after the show. She was looking at. She was doing a study where, directional pull. So, like, okay, did something happen every time? Like somebody goes, like kind of like they're looking, or they sense something, or they look, and then something's caught an EVP or something like that. Is there any cooperation with that? Now, could that go also with intention? Like maybe somebody had the intention, and then they got pulled, and then the evidence got caught. I would be interested to. We could add that in too, like intention, directional pull to the evidence.
Yeah.
There's definitely ways that could be measured, and I don't think that, like I said, with any form of research, if we don't test it, if we don't measure it or try it, how are we to know? I mean, intention could be a very huge thing, and we're completely overlooking it.
Yeah, but there's a lot, like you said, even some of the psychic mediums testing them, they still test it the old way. Well, tell me what card I have, all this other stuff. No, test them in a situation where they're picking up on something. What's going on around us? What's the atmosphere? How are they picking this up? What is their intention as they pick up maybe somebody from the other side? I know we use equipment, scientific, but some of these other people, when you put both in the same room, there's some measurement there that really helps us, like you said, with communication, all in different ways. Because like myself, being able to feel things, I use equipment to verify how I'm feeling. That's what I do. Everybody's different in how they do this. And like you said before, we do this, we're not always right. We're never 100% right, never 100% wrong about the paranormal. But there is that insatiable need to go forward and see, okay, what's on the other side? How are they communicating? Why are they communicating? If I could do enough stuff scientifically, I could be able to communicate even more. And be able to get in touch with people, whether, the psychics are able to do it. How can we do it that anybody could do it just by creating that atmosphere scientifically to be able to do that?
No, I agree. And actually, I know you brought it up a few points, and I wanted to actually touch on it, the psychic portion of it. So on my prior team, prior to us evolving it into You and I Research, we were doing a statistic study on the accuracy of different psychics, intuitives, and such. It was a very, very, very baseline. But here's the kicker to it. There were some things that they were saying and how they were getting their information that caused me to look at how apparitions and spiritual physics works. And like, I'll give the perfect example I can give is I asked one of our intuitives, his name's Reggie, medium. I asked him because I noticed he used a specific word. He says, I can hear them. And I'm like, you keep on using the word hear. Are you saying you hear them, or do you hear them? And he said, oh, I hear them. And I'm like, that's this sense right here. That doesn't sound like any type of ability to me. That sounds like you have over average hearing. But then I'm like, wait a minute. So if he's hearing them, does that mean sound waves? Now that caused me to go with the digital recorder, and I started reviewing the audio of different spirits. How do they sound on the recorder? And that's when I heard a Class A EVP where I heard a ghost say, I think it was, go right there. And it was an echo in the voice. And I'm like, okay, what type of room were we in on this? This room had a pool. It was a large-scale open room where sound bounces everywhere. The acoustics is amazing. And I'm like, wait a second, 2 + 2 here. I want to do a sound experiment where I clutter a room that could get Class A EVPs that's known for Class A EVPs, and I want to see if I can diminish the quality of the EVPs. And then I want to go to another room and I want to open up that room and see if I can increase the quality of the EVPs. And that's exactly what happened, is that the quality changed.
Wow.
And I'm like, wait a minute. So, and here's the thing, when it comes down to the psychic ability, for Reggie, that doesn't mean that he doesn't have the ability to speak with any. It's not ruling it out at all. It's providing an explanation on how he might be doing it. And so then I did a very basic hearing test. I didn't have any special equipment. I did what I could with it. And I said, I want you to raise your hand every time you hear a beep. And I started playing different frequencies, and it was only a YouTube thing. It was, like I said, no special thing. Don't have thousands of dollars. I started playing it, and he kept raising his hand at 5 hertz.
Yeah.
And I'm like, 5 hertz? That's 15 hertz below the average human hearing.
Wow.
So
5 hertz is where they say EVPs are really where we get them. It's 5 hertz or
Really?
less. Yeah.
yeah. And
You look on sound waves, if you put it through a recorder and you pick up the EVP, a lot of times it's under 5 hertz or less. So,
Brooke,
What's up, Brooke? Owner of the Wildwood Sanatorium. What's up, Brooke? I know Brooke very well. I met Brooke and John, fucking Thomas. I'll bet all 3 of you guys, and of course Zach Breitzel at the Warren Con. But Thomas ran off the elevator, got me a shot. Saw you guys all set up there. You guys are next to what, Josh the Explorer or something? They had like a huge line out there. We had a table right at the end. But what does Jim Brown say? Imagine the energy that's shared when it's like medium is communicating with someone that's past. Yeah. Dylan Wagner, what's up, brother? Thanks for checking in. Reckless Paranormal. So, man, I mean, you guys are on the deep shit. Like you said, it's not just let's go and hear a voice, which I guess is great for your average person. But you guys are, between both of you, the knowledge, you guys must have laptops and notebooks and files full of just info, right? Between both of you guys. Holy moly. John, do you keep stuff on a laptop? Do you have files? Do you have notebooks? Do you jot it down or pencil?
So I mean, we do have what you call, I don't know, have I actually shown that stuff on here before?
Like the first episode you did. Well, you went on. You're like, I haven't been on an episode, and I said, you were on mine. You're coming on again, you motherfucker. You're coming on. I love you. Man. Are you kidding me?
Well, no. I mean, did I actually show or show like what we have?
Oh no, you're supposed to bring that on. So where was this again? This was Wildwood, right?
Oh no. I was going to show something else.
Oh, that's fine. Show whatever you'd like.
Look, hang on. I'm just trying to see if I can bring it up here real quick.
I'm not being me in a thong. I wasn't that drunk. Put your kids to bed, guys.
Hang on, give me 1 second here.
Take your time, man.
Because it's basically, it'll give you a general idea of like how far it actually goes or how far it can go. Let me see. I almost got it up here. There it is.
No,
so
I'm super intrigued.
All right. So let me share here. And this is for, you know, I mean, obviously people won't get too it's not something too exciting, but this is kind of our main type of documentation. So once we do this type of research,
you know what's funny, real quick, I want to bring this on, but real quick, not one of my guests has ever known how to bring, I was going to bring it on for them. Leave it to you to take over my show and load up stuff. I always have to be the one to share shit. And I love it. I fucking love this guy. John Griffin, you bastard. Check this out, guys.
So this is actually a 47-page report. And as you can see, we do go into the numbers. We have the breakdowns. We have notes on how we're doing everything. And it's just, like I said, it's page after page after page. Like once we do our statistics.
Look at all that juicy info. Oh, Thomas is getting antsy. He's a geek too. Thomas loves it. Look at him. He wants to read all that.
So
these are from experiences, different places.
In some cases we may do different. We may do separate reports if it's involving an experiment. That was a Q1 report where I was combining our EVPs, our apparitions, all that, our hypothesis for the first 3 months of that year, and putting it into a report. So yes, in short answer, we have computer report or like spreadsheets. We have a bunch of notebooks with information in them. I have stuff up here. We have the video, audio, and then I put it all into our report.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you need to write a novel soon.
That's great. That's like trying to profile.
Thomas is a big
profile a serial killer with all that data and all that. You wouldn't believe how the mind, of course, works and having patterns and then trying to figure out the fingerprint, why people do things and why they're brain changes from trauma and stuff. So yeah.
Would John want to go to these jails and shit? He's got to be into that shit. I mean, you must be into killers, right? So you're not into them, but I mean,
Well, I used to be a security lieutenant for a security lieutenant, and I was the head of the training and intelligence division. So, and part of the intelligence, there were times where we had to consider looking at profiles. I worked with an investigator who was ex-police there, and there were times where there were profiles. I did a lot of data predicting if things were going to happen, specific crimes or anything of that sort, or what people might try to do to, breach. So I know exactly what Tom's talking about to a degree. Not
a lot to it. A lot of people say, oh, you were a profiler. They get all excited. It's like, yeah, wait till you see all the data we used to have to do. It sounds cool, but it's a little tedious. But it does train your mind. And like John said before, a lot of people say, oh, you don't have a degree or whatever, or things like that. Or, I have some degrees, but it doesn't mean anything. You have to put it into practice. All college is a piece of paper that says you know how to learn. If you know how to learn, you don't need the piece of paper, and you learn on the fly. Like, crap, I've been doing this for 40 years. I've learned from so many people over the years. I could learn from somebody that just got into this, or somebody that's been doing it for 50 years. So, you got to keep your mind open. Everybody wants to battle back and forth and who's going to be the best. It's not about being the best. If you help your client and you help spirit, that's all it's all about. Whatever way you do it, scientifically, spiritually, it's all of us trying to do the same thing. So that's what it is.
Everyone learns differently. That's the thing. There's videos out there from professors. Like, why bother as professors put out all these free videos if you're not supposed to learn it and understand it? Yeah. Why publish these books to teach people, the future generation, if the belief is that you can only learn in one way? I learned differently. A school setting just didn't work for me. And plus you have to have a passion for it. I'll be honest, earth science was my least favorite in school. When I was like, wow, I'm going out and getting a job and stuff like that. But thank goodness I understand that this is a granite rock.
I guess John isn't into crystals then.
Yeah.
Well,
I was going to actually ask you, do you use natural things, John? Do you use like crystals and not holy water, but moon water, I guess, or whatever?
It's good for scientific to see how it reacts to stuff. So, yeah.
My brother got highly into crystals and rocks. In fact, when he passed, I inherited that somehow. He had a huge. I remember the cleaners. The cleaners said they were handing me all this stuff, and they were like, "Yeah," and he had a big chest of rocks. And I was like, don't worry about it. I understand it. Just I'll take it. So he did that, and before he died, I learned from him what he was trying to do. And yes, back then, I didn't care about that stuff. But this is the thing: is that when you come across something like being passionate about the paranormal research and such, there's going to be a point where you may come across a topic that you are not interested in, or you thought was going to be useless. Like, to me, earth science. I started looking up granite rock and all these different types of stones and such like that, trying to understand: do they absorb? Do they throw out energy? What do they do? Like, what exactly? Or do they do anything? So yes, it became a study, and now it became a part of it, and I had no choice but to actually learn it.
Well, what about nature? Sorry to cut you off. What about like shit? Like I actually have my own sage bush, and me and Heather grow it. We want to make our own sage bundle. Do you believe in sage? Do you believe in like not zinc, but you know what I mean? How people have sapphire. So like the earthly elements, it sounds like you're experimenting with it, but has it? Do you yourself use sage? I'm dying to know. Do you burn it?
So I'll give you two sides of the two-sided answer here, because there's the belief side of me where I turn off that researcher, and then if you're going into research mode, it's different. It's two different mindsets. Do I believe in sage? I've seen sage work. So yes, I have burned it before. Is it a common thing? No. I've used holy water. I've done those blessings before. Invoke the name of Jesus. All that.
Okay.
Now, from a researcher standpoint, do I have data to support that this actually works? No. Can I prove that me walking around with sage and doing something that a ghost isn't hiding in a corner and going, "Wow, that's cute. I'll pretend that I'm gone for the next 3 days." I don't have that. Does that mean that yes or no? I don't know. And so from a scientific standpoint, I'm not going to answer. I'm going to remain neutral that there's a possibility it does work and a possibility it doesn't work. Until I have.
It sounds like you're still in training or still in. It's still on the table, so to speak. Then, right? There's no way you're going to leave it neutral.
From a scientific standpoint, you remain neutral until the facts are completely there that you can come up with a official explanation, whether it be through a mathematical equation or such, all these different things that come with it. So yes, it's on the table until one side or the other presents itself to say yes or no.
Yeah, I wonder if if you're using sage, you go into a room, you have your baseline, and you have the equipment out, you're measuring. And how much does this, then you sage it, and how much does that change the baseline? It's another thing to look at. But you were talking about the rocks that your brother had. Have you tried to use those to communicate with him at all? With any energy attachment maybe to him and what he was trying to get across to help you?
Yeah.
I've had team members that have used it. I have not personally.
Great question.
Have you or have you thought of it at all, or is that something a little too close still?
Not
to put you on the spot.
Oh no. It's not something we've looked at ways that we could use it. Like we're trying to we're looking at ways of implementation, but right now we haven't come up with a proper system. That would work for us, even from a baseline standpoint, because it still goes back to those other, like we're looking at kind of an in-between thing. So you've got the conscious ghost, or supposedly you've got a conscious spirit who knows what's going on, who knows what they're doing, something that's happening in between, and then you've got a rock. So to me, it's like, okay, this rock that ends here, how do I connect this? So, and of course the baseline is going to come with it. So like, let's say I put a rock there and it increases the responses from Jeremy. Well, okay, I could continuously do that, but it's going to come down to that question of, is it really the rock? It's the same thing with the Project Apparition Hall. Was it anything we did? So for the rock, was it because of this charged up rock, or is it because we so happened to show up at a location, the environment was perfect for it, and he had enough energy, and we just so happened to time it just right, and it makes it look like it's that.
Well, I think you guys are very attached to that, because you're attached to it. Let's say somebody like me comes on and does an experiment, and I take that rock, and I try, and let's say I'm trying to talk to anybody there, but I pull the rock out, and I end up contacting Jeremy comes through. Is that different because your energy and your attachment to him and your team members that have known him for a long time? It's another way to look at it. Is there a familiar energy that creates people to come out, or a non-familiar energy that, they still come out? Those are those scientific things to look at. I know you guys are doing a lot of experiments as a team, but with your research, bringing in other people for certain situations to see how the baseline changes, their intention, those types of things really balances out what you're trying to do. And I hope you reach all those goals. Anybody listening right now, John's raising money to do this. And I think you really, guys, if you got something, you need to help this guy out. You need to help him out, because this is important stuff. This is the things that, like he said, you're not going to see on TV. But because of his research, things that you see or end up coming into view later on down the road are going to make more sense. So that's what we want. We want to make sense of the paranormal in a way. Are we ever going to prove it 100%? No, but at least we're going to get closer, because 40 years ago, we weren't talking about this stuff.
No.
So it's regressed.
If you were, you were locked in the loony bin, right?
Yeah, I was sitting there playing record on my boombox and using, to try and trying to pick up magnetic frequencies or EMF or anything like that. We're using compasses to see, if that messes with things. We have
I
all
just
this
wish people
stuff
would work
now.
together instead of cutting throats.
Yeah.
I wish people would work together. I think we find answers quicker if people didn't.
But yeah, you got to really look at it. A lot of the equipment we're using, that becomes a part of it too. You got to pull it apart. You got to know how it works and why it works and what you're doing.
What's up, Born Legacy member?
Yeah, Joe Frankie. So.
Hi, Joe.
What's up, Joe? Zach.
Hey, Zach.
Co-owner of the Wildwood Sanatorium.
Zach.
What's going on, Zach? I haven't talked to you in a while. Joe Frankie, what's going on? I haven't talked to you in a while. I used to be in the Born Legacy Foundation with him, East Coast. By checking in. So yeah, man.
Yeah, you should have Joe on the show.
I did before, but I had the radio show. I didn't get him back on.
Yeah, you got to get him back on. So.
Especially when his background is Cape Genetic. Hold on a minute. Where the fuck is the link? There it is. Heather shared this earlier. This is the link. Guys, John isn't a weed smoker drinker like me. He will take the money and put it towards good stuff. So instead of sending me money, well, you still send me money, but send somebody to John. Help him out, dude. He's a client of mine, historically on the book, and he's one of my first clients. Thomas, of course, is too. And these guys aren't. I don't just get people that are just glitz and glamour. Well, I guess I do once in a blue, like Stacey Jones and Pennywise. But for the most part, I try to get the heavy. I want to get the people that I consider friends, honest, and that are in this for the right reasons, not because of what's going on at the Conjuring House. I don't give a fuck. Shut the fuck up. Get on to something else. You know what I mean? Live, guys. There's so much other shit in the world going on. There's so many more places that need attention than the fucking Lizzie Borden's Conjuring House. Get the fuck over it. Sorry, that's right. I said it. Trademark it. So anyway, yes, he is brilliant. You're right.
Yes.
I appreciate it. Well, I want to throw something out there since Wildwood popping up and also the outside perspective outside of the team. So that's actually been one of the purposes of the Path to Communication event. Anybody that's been following me or following our pages has seen that we've started an event or a series of events called the Path to Communication. So that's outside of our video series that we're producing. It's connected, but these events are an evolving story. So we have two types. We have a paraclue event and a paranormal lab event. The paraclue is basically getting clues on things from the spirit realm to develop the paranormal lab experiments. And then we perform the lab experiments. So it's almost like two different events. Now, every event that somebody comes to for these, they find out what happened in the prior events leading up to that so that we can continue the story. And then we actually discuss it. We actually discuss what we're going to do. We discuss the evidence and such. And there was one person that was there that was a part of the event. They actually said, I feel like a real scientist right now. We had multiple people that were they've been coming back to a bunch of the events because they want to see what's next. And we ended up doing Project Apparition Hall at Wildwood Sanitarium, and we ended up getting a major result. And there's a huge story behind this one. It's absolutely incredible. So, I did put out saying that we did get. Here's the thing: we got a bunch of apparitions. We've gotten a bunch of apparitions, so much so that we're working on a project we have not announced yet. It is a video project. It's in dedication to it, but I'm gonna keep an eye out for it. You'll hear more about it probably by the end of this month, if not next month.
Well, your booking agent may hear about it first, though.
Possibly.
I want to know. I will be quiet too. You can tell me.
So on August 7th, I got this feeling. It's like I got a message. You know how you get some of those messages like it's not from you. And it's like, who is this from? Because I wasn't thinking about this. And it was like, I've got to do Project Apparition Hall during the event on August 11th at Wildwood Sanitarium. And so I sent a message to Katie. I do have record of the text message saying, do you have the laser? Can I borrow a green laser? Such like that. I feel like something's going to happen.
The laser grid thing, the green laser that shoots out. Yeah.
Yeah. And then from there, on the same night, not knowing this, someone was at Wildwood Sanitarium that would be attending the August 11th event. They had asked Jeremy, is he going to help with the experiment on August 11th? He answered yes. I saw this in our notebook. It was there. This was all in the same day. We're 5 hours away from each other, not knowing that this is happening. And I did and I know it's from a scientific standpoint, this hit or miss. I did a dowsing rod session with a guide. A guide and my brother Jeremy. And I said, are we supposed to do Project Apparition Hall on August 11th? And they swung to yes so quick. And I was like, is something supposed to happen? And they indicated yes. So I'm like, okay. So August 11th comes. We're going to be doing.
There's kids outside my window. There's a birthday party going on.
Okay, yeah.
A bunch of little teeny bops out there.
Thought we're against some EVPs.
I came down to Heather's there. I got some shit going on, so I left my home and I came down to Orchard Beach, Maine there. And,
oh, man.
Sorry, I didn't think you could hear that. No shit, huh?
August 11th, Eden, our event coordinator, they were doing a spirit box session. I was downstairs. She was doing a spirit box session with some of the event attendees up in the seance room where we were going to do the Project Apparition Hall. And during the spirit box session, and it's on video, a male entity comes over and tells her and the others to stop. And so she's like, oh, do you want us to wait for John? And the EMF detector started going off. And so she says it again, wait for John. EMF detector goes off. And then over the spirit box, you hear, yeah. So they shut off everything. And I get a message from Eden saying, hey, they're waiting for you. Not realizing that night all the stuff that was going to transpire. And
wow.
So
what made you say they? You just said they.
They for
wait for you. You said they are.
Oh, okay. So
is there other spirits that you've gotten into contact that have been helping you with this experiment?
Yes. So we have kind of
catch Tom.
It's a very weird scenario, and we're gonna, in the Path to Communication series, we kind of introduced it in the first episode, but we're really going to dive into the reboot series. We have a team of spirits there called the Spiritual Science Team. It was something that we worked on agreeing with them with, can they help us when we come out there and give us information? So what we do is I'll actually bring my projection screen, all that. I bring up the stats. I bring up the evidence. I even play audio and all that for them. And I'll ask for their opinion on it. Like, what do you see? Like, what do you see? Do you see anything here that you can help us with? Are we on the right track? Are we not? Here are my questions to you. And I try to keep it more simple to see if they can help from their end. Okay, we did this experiment here. Here's the results that we got. What do you think of it? And where can we go? Where can we go from here? So it's like we're trying to share information and try to bridge the gap. So researchers on their end, researchers on on our end, and we're talking to each other.
Wow.
And it trust me, it's years of rapport building with them. So there's
community in a way.
There's 4 spirits that are typically there that are going to help. My brother being one of them, Dr. Henderson, another spirit guide who's connected to me but not blood related, and then a nurse by the name of I believe it's Sue. So there's Jeremy's more of the science. The nurse and Dr. Henderson are the holistic end of it, and then the guide is more of signs. So we have this connection with them where we do EVP sessions and spirit box sessions, and then I'll say, we're going to do some experiments in this area. Can you help us? We even have audio recording from a spirit box session where we were asking if they would come with us to Greenville Manor back when it was open and help us out. And help us out. and there's actually a male voice that comes over and says, "What time?" So
I'm wondering, you talked about Dr. Henderson, you talked about the nurse there.
Mhm.
Were they attached to Wildwood at some time, or?
Yeah, Dr. Henderson.
Good question.
So they had
Did
a
you-
few. They had a
You
few
find them historically or in historical records?
from the owners. They have
Yeah.
they have the records of Dr. Henderson, Dr. Perry, and because there were two leaders, Dr. Henderson and Dr. Perry.
Okay.
And then, if I'm not mistaken, I'd have to recheck with Lori. I think there's 3 nurses. I think there's Agatha, Sue, and one other.
Ooh, Agatha, that's an old one. Oh boy,
Yeah,
you don't hear that anymore.
That's a mysterious name, Agatha Christie.
By the way, Thomas, real quick, Thomas, I'm not going to lie. As your booking agent, I suggest you get your own podcast. You should be a good host. You could be a host. Your questions.
I don't have enough time. I'm too busy getting these events going, especially the
I know
Salem one
you
coming
are.
up has been a little bit of an up and down situation, but it's going to be epic. So.
Well, you need to get John. I think John needs to come on. Maybe obviously this year's kind of too late for some Salem shit.
Yeah, I want John to come one of these, like Connecticut Paracon or Salem Paracon.
Salem, we'd love to get you down to Salem next year, John. I think are you into the witches? Are you into pirates? Are you into any oddball shit? Are you into aliens? Do you think any of that's connected?
I talk to invisible dead people.
So book them, Dano.
It's almost like aliens seem to. People say that when they communicate, they talk to them in their minds, like they're reading each other's minds back and forth, and it's almost like
really?
I feel like when people say they've communicated or have been abducted, and they always say the same thing. It's like I didn't hear them talking. I sense them talking in my mind. It's almost like the same thing that they're talking about scientifically, how sometimes some of these spirits talk to us. Sometimes I wonder, are some of the spirits we talking to are interdimensional aliens or
fucking
who
John?
are you communicating with?
What do you think about that, John? Throw that wrench in your little system. You want to throw aliens in that motherfucker or what? That's a wild concept.
They're not all from outer space,
Nothing.
They've been here longer than us, probably. Who knows?
It's like Yellow Wolf said that. Don't be I'm out from outer space. That's right.
What do we got?
This is from.
What is this? What is this? Hold on a minute. Let me go big and.
This is from my brother, who is focusing on telepathic communication. That was back in August 31st of 2020, so about a year before he went. He was coming up with a mathematical equation and such about how telepathic, including ghosts or people, could potentially work. So this is actually from his research diary.
That's awesome.
That's a nice keepsake. Joe Frankie.
I don't know. Well, that's just, there you go. That's just me, It's almost like I pick up, we're having this conversation and I'm picking up things. Sometimes I feel like spirit gives me questions to ask, especially our intention of this whole conversation. Mm-hmm. And for him to have that, to pull up and all that, it's almost like you sense it sometimes. And I think that's our common bond with the paranormal, scientific side, spiritual side, any way you look at it. All of us, when we sit on a show like this and talk, and all our fellow weirdos are listening in, they're learning something, whether it be very little or very big. That's all it takes, man. You could talk to 100,000 people. If one person gets it, then you did what you needed to do, and it just builds from there. And that's why it's so important with John's work.
One of the sweetest ladies ever.
Yeah.
Lorraine Warren. Joe Frankie used to interview spirits with Lorraine, and they would communicate. Joe Frankie worked with Lorraine Warren very much before she passed away. And
Joe worked with them Joe probably knowing him really well and all that is probably one of the surviving people that have worked the most with the Warrens. So.
They've kind of paved the way for fellow fucking weirdos like us. Let's face it. What John is doing, what John would be burned at the stake for what you're talking to dead spirits. He's a witch. He's a witch. Burn him. You'd be burned at the stake. He's like, whatever.
Well, it's true. None of us wouldn't be talking right now if it wasn't for Ed and Lorraine Warren. Ed and Lorraine Warren or Dr. Hans Holzer or anybody like that. These are the people that paved the way. Yeah. And that's where people nowadays make the mistake. These people the research that they did were able to give us, what they learned, and we expounded on that, what they did. Yeah, we look back on it now and we're like, oh, that's whatever. Yeah, because we're learning something now. If it wasn't for them, we couldn't learn what we're learning now. So we built on that.
It's all about, it's about foundation.
Yeah, I'll tell you right now, live on the air, I don't like people giving Ed and Lorraine a hard time.
I think you're gonna stop. I don't like people.
I'm one of those people. If you have an issue with how they did things, and like I said, we expounded on their research, we wouldn't be here right now talking. And you have to have respect for that, whether you look at it one way or another. If you don't have the respect for that, you're in the wrong business. So you got to respect the people that came before you, because we wouldn't have. It's a building. We're building that mountain to get to the peak and figure out what's going on. That's why John does what he does. Adam does what he does. What I do. We all do things a little differently, but it all stemmed from the beginning, that mustard seed that Adam Ray planted, and people like Hans Holzer and those types of people. And for you to say they're wrong, you're wrong. So
you heard it here first, folks. You heard it here first, live and recorded. It's the Fox sisters in New York, right? I mean, you got to stem, whether they were right or wrong, like John always says, it's all about learning from your mistakes. I'd rather learn from my mistakes and learn from my rights in a way, because I think it's you're more to learn, right? We're always fucking growing, right? I mean, that's just how it is.
Exactly. Without a mistake, you can't learn. If you do it right all the time, you're just going to stay in one place. It's okay to make a mistake. It's okay to be wrong sometimes, but what makes you bad is when you don't learn from that mistake. Yeah. So
Joe's a pretty big fucker. He used to work out too, so you know.
Well, Joe and I have had some pretty good conversations.
He's the Hulk Hogan of the paranormal guys. What you gonna do?
We had a nice lunch the other day with another friend of ours, and it's the whole thing is. I'm the same way. You have a problem with them, you come see me. If you don't like what I have to say, Joe will be plenty happy to listen to your complaint too. Yeah. Again, they planted the mustard seed. And all you people that say what you say, you wouldn't be able to say that if it wasn't for them. So all I got to say is shut up and learn, and stop having the ego in the way. Because if you have ego in this business, you'll never be close to spirit, and you'll never get to be able to do the scientific or the spiritual side of things like John does, and all that. So without it, I don't know what to tell you, but I'd be more than happy to sit down and talk to you anytime. I'm not going to talk to you online or behind your computer. Come talk to me in person. I'll be more than happy to have a conversation with you, and Joe will too, and anybody else. There's a lot of people that will back it up, and that's what we're here for. And people got to understand what John's doing with his scientific side. Nobody's doing that right now. Nobody's looking at this stuff like that. You have to
not many.
Because he's thinking. He's expounding on what we've learned from the past. And he says, well, this is something that I need to do, what my brother and I started, and what we're trying to do to make sense of what we're all trying to do. That's it.
Look at that. So, from the Godfather himself.
Yep.
All right. Well, we're going over an hour. We got about 3 more minutes to go. John, you have any questions for me or Thomas? I want to spice up a little bit. Usually at the end of the show, I ask my guests. It's a new thing I'm doing. Ask us. You play the host. You want to ask me or both of us a question? Either of us?
I was going to go more into
go right ahead, my friend.
More into discussion.
Yeah,
you can do that too.
I mean, it just real quick, because I know this is something that I wanted to mentionalize, the path to communication. And for everybody out there, it's coming.
Damn straight.
It's next month. You are going to see the Path to Communication channel launch. On YouTube, you're going to start seeing the episodes start releasing. Nice. And we're listening to what people said about other productions that we've done, that they're really interested in learning how we start developing what the mindset is, like the background to all this stuff, and deeper into the story. They want the story. So we are doing that. So you're going to see a lot of the progress, and that's what the main thing is. It's going to be done in chapters. Every episode is not going to be the same length. There might be episodes that are 25 minutes long. There may be an episode that's 5 minutes long. The point is, tell the story. That's what the theme is. Tell the story. And and you're going to see the progress. And this means we're going to bring in other people too, because if when it becomes part of the story, if it's progressing it, and they end up coming into the story for some reason, they need to be there. There's a reason they need to be there. So it's going to be an emotional series. It's going to be more emotional than that first pilot episode that I put out there.
Wow.
And it's also going to show the character build too. So you're going to see Katie and I evolving as we go through, and anybody else who joins that becomes a part of the story, you're going to watch as we all begin to change, and how the research change, how our personalities grow, how we mature in different ways, and you're going to see the struggles too. You're going to see there are going to be points where, as researchers, we fail. It's not really failing. It's we learned something, we're moving on. You're going to see our reactions to that. You're going to see the points where we succeed. And the ultimate thing in this series is about hope. It's about inspiring. And the path to communication has more than just a meaning about communicating with spirits. The second part of that, it's the path to communicating with all of us, being able to talk together like we are now, but getting closer and having these conversations with each other about all different topics. So it's a unity. It is a unity series. So expect that, and the evidence is going to be great, including the apparition that I brought up, that I showed.
Oh, can you bring that back on? The one you showed me pre-show? Do you have that still?
Yeah, I do.
Yes.
So
bring that on. Yes.
So this is the August 11th apparition that was caught.
Check this out, Thomas.
And this is
I think I've seen this, but I watched the. Yeah, go ahead. I want to see this again.
We actually haven't shown this publicly yet.
No? Oh, I thought it was. Oh, I was thinking of something else that I saw in your last show.
That window picture you shared last time, John. There's something in a window or something, wasn't it?
No, I don't remember that one. But so this is that August 11th thing that I was talking about. This was one of them. So, and to be clear, I don't remember if I said this. This is an enhanced, so I cleaned it up to brighten it up and stuff. So hang on for 1 second. Let me bring it up here.
This is at Wildwood, New York, correct?
Yeah. So we actually have I'm over here. You can't really see me, but I have the laser. And right here, you have a person that's sitting. Right. Literally, they're crossing their arms. I don't know if they're crossing the legs. I can see the legs there, the glasses, the hair, the arms crossed.
Like hunched over a little bit.
Yeah, and here's the kicker. The chair, the physical chair is right there. They're not sitting in the physical chair. There's no chair where they're sitting. There's a doorway right here that leads into a kitchen area. There's a doorway that leads into another room here, and they're sitting right there. And it's just
it looks you look like you said there's no chair there, right?
Yeah. So
that's so weird, because you wonder sometimes, like I said, residual or that frequency where light bends, you get timeline stuff where it bends in. It's like, okay, there was a person sitting there in that chair 30 years ago, and it's showing residually to you now. That's kind of how I see things. Right. I'm just weird like that, where there used to be a doorway where the wall is now, and you see things walking in and out of it.
So you can actually see you can actually see the chair right here. So you see this dark area here.
Yeah.
That's the chair. Now here's the handle right here.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's the handle, and you can tell they're sitting on the opposite side of it.
They're hunched over a little bit. It looks like they might have had some back issues. Maybe an older person, maybe a little bit.
Well, here's what
they're hunched over a little.
Well, here's what we saw right here. The green color is a bit different. It's a bit darker here. Yeah. We're wondering if we got a phantom chair there. Now, that's just. I'm not going to say that that's what that is, but I mean, if you really look, let's put it this way. When I saw this photo, I mistaken it as a person sitting in that room. I almost bypassed it.
Yeah.
And the thing, here's the thing about that is because again, that wasn't the original photo. The photo's darker, but I saw a person sitting there, and our event coordinator Eden. I feel bad I tell this story. Eden was very adamant about sitting in like the next room or in the room recording, and I said, no, for safety reasons, you cannot be in the room because the laser will blind you. So if you actually see me in some of the pictures, you'll see me kind of have my head turned away from the laser just in case it reflects.
Holy shit.
So I refused to have anybody in that room when I had that laser going. So, except for myself. So they were all, where they took the picture from is where all of them were. They were all sitting either like side or behind them. And I said, what you call it? When I saw the picture, I looked at it and I'm like, Eden, I thought I said you can't be in there. So I kind of got angry and I just went by it.
Yeah.
And wasn't thinking about it. And I'm like, wait a second. I started going through the other pictures. I'm like, so I looked at the times of the pictures because we do a rapid fire. So you're taking about 2 pictures maybe every second or something like that. It's just a constant. And I'm like, there's no way that this person, because I looked at the time, I think it was 9:14, and I went to each picture. It was like 9:14, 9:14, 9:14, 9:14. I'm like, there's no way somebody got up, walked out of that room in the course of a millisecond.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that made me go back to the picture, and then I went to the pictures before, and I'm like, there's nothing there. And I'm like, son of a gun, this is okay. I flagged it for further.
You can't explain that.
Yeah.
Well, we still have a 4-step verification process for everything that we get, so it's not an automatic, oh, we can't explain that, and we went with it just because it's, happened in one picture and not in the others. We have just to go through it real quick, detect, which is what I did. I detected something unusual. Identify. I try to begin to identify what it is that we're seeing, whether it's natural or not. Verify. So verify is basically I'm verifying what I identified. Is that exactly what it is before I accept it or remove it? And then accept. Regardless of what the result is, if I've come to the same conclusion and identify and accept, or identify and verify, I will accept the result. If either of these contradict each other, it goes through the process again. It may not be me necessarily who will do the process. I may have somebody else look at it and go, okay, I'm not going to say anything. Take a look at this. What do you get? And then they start that.
You know what's, you said earlier that Eden wanted to sit down. Is that what you said?
She wanted to get Project Apparition Hall. She was doing a live, so she wanted to do it from a different angle.
So she was in her mind, she said she wanted to sit down.
Yes.
Okay. So in her mind, she had the need to sit down.
Mm-hmm.
She put that intention out there and possibly manifested that chair. So, that's a possibility. That's another way of looking at it. That's another curveball to put into the experiment, is like her need to sit down at the moment and her thinking about it and putting that thought, almost like creating an egregore type of thought to manifest that chair. There's theory behind that too. So again, like I said, your intention, and when you're doing these experiments, knowing who's thinking what at that moment and what your thought process is and why something happens at that moment, what you were thinking about, has to be added in. I think, to look at a few more steps on top of what you're doing, John. So it's just a suggestion. I think everything you're doing is freaking unreal. And I think people need to watch your stuff because I think they could learn a lot from you. It's not the run around, scream, and run out of the building. It's like, why does this happen? Who, what, where, why, when? Nobody does that. We have to do that. If we don't, we're never going to know what's going on. So.
Yeah, and on top of that, just to add to that, you don't have to contact me and say, "Hey, can we try this experiment?"
Mm-hmm.
We're showing this stuff because we want other people to try it. We want to see what other results are. Please, if you see it on the series, we would love to hear about it. We would love to see what your results are. Go ahead and do it. You don't need my permission.
Plus, the thing is, that's the great thing about you, John, is because the reason why this will work and the reason why people, I think, coming up, I have the feeling that more and more people are going to be helping because you don't have an ego. You know, you don't have an ego in this. That's why you're able to do what you're doing right now. And that's what I just want to purvey to you. Don't, put yourself in, do the work and all that. And I think as you do it and you don't have ego and you're in spirit, you're doing it the right way, it's going to grow. And it is growing right now. And I don't want you to fret about anything. People like Adam, like myself, we're behind you and we're going to support you, whatever you need, whatever we could do from our area. Because I think it's probably one of the most important things in the paranormal right now. And I wish more people knew about it. But yeah, you're not doing some YouTube, everything's a demon and all this other stuff, which I think is total BS, But the thing is what you're doing is so important. And a lot of people find, oh, that's boring. No, it's not. It's not boring. It's very important that you do the work to figure out what the heck is going on because nobody else is doing it.
No,
we're never going to find out if people like John aren't doing what
there may be a couple, but not deep like that. Like Thomas, let's face it, you're pretty deep into that shit. There is.
I look at everything. Not a stone goes unturned for me. Yeah, I'm not very charted and things like that. I think that's important. That's how.
Look at these motherfuckers from California right around the hearse selling.
Oh my god!
What's up, Lauren and Danny Perez erraticals? You're in Disneyland. Oh Jesus!
Oh my
Mickey Mouse has got a satanic cult there. You fuck. John,
they're on the Queen Mary. They're on the Queen Mary last.
Oh, they're on the Queen. That's right.
Yeah.
They're doing the Cecil, all that shit.
That's a place to do some experiments, I tell you. So.
Oh my god. John, we got a couple minutes left till they kick me out. I want to know where people can find you. Please tell me where can people find you. Plug it right now. All your shit. Go.
All right. Obviously, you can find me on Facebook. Find our page, The Path to Communication, on our Facebook as well. UINI Research. Sorry. Look us up on Paranormal Puzzle for YouTube. That channel is a channel that Jeremy and I did together. However, I'm starting another channel. The announcement of when that channel is going to be starting, along with other information about the new Path to Communication, will be on that channel. And then you're not really going to see much after that. So keep an eye out there, subscribe, get that information, so that way you'll know when we launch the new channel. And that new channel is strictly the Path to Communication.
Please keep tagging me and shit. I love that. I tell my clients, tag me and shit, because I can't keep up with all fucking 20 of you posting every other day. Tag me and shit. Fucking, so Raph does, Thomas does, and John does. You three do, everybody else does it. And they go, whoa, I go, well, fucking tag me. So tag me, please, because you got shit all over the place.
I just call you.
Call him, man. If you guys want information on John, historically on the booking, message me. I'll guide you to John. You can go to John's page. You don't bite unless you pay him. So I appreciate it. Brandon, great show. I appreciate you, Brandon.
Thanks, buddy.
Thank you, everyone.
Right for Paranormal, West Virginia. For the Mothman. Thomas, what about you, brother? You get something going on this weekend real quick, you said?
Yeah, I got an event with the Shaman and the Showman LLC. We got the whole weekend in Bristol, Connecticut, the mum capital of the world, but a lot of witch history there. And we were doing a dinner and just going over all kinds of paranormal intention. And then we're going into a very haunted house that was featured on a TV show. I won't name the TV show just in case. And, we're going into the house that they didn't let the TV show go into because the people didn't want them to come in. Now they're letting us in for the first time. So people are going to get to experience. There's so much stuff going on there. And when I went, I picked up on something. I had a pain in my liver, and I went over some stuff with the gentleman, and it matched up to something that he was going through. And some of you, if you haven't gotten your tickets yet, just please go. And once the weekend's over, I'll tell you all about it and what I picked up and what we all picked up and anything we have going on. So I can't tell you where it is. We never do that. We just say it's in Bristol. Anybody that buys tickets, they get kind of a last minute where to go. And then
I think in a couple of weeks, around Halloween time, we have Thomas back on, and John's a fucking co-host. And that's 3 spit again about what's going on.
There you go.
What happened at WoW? What happened with you? Is that cool, John? Maybe I don't really. It's my show. I don't give a fuck. So I don't know, 5-6 weeks or so. Let's say middle October. I'll get a hold of you tomorrow when I'm not so stoned.
Yeah.
But I got another hour and a half to talk to both of you. Fucking cats.
What else am I doing? Oh yeah, the weekend after
you,
that.
Appreciate you.
Yes, Joe's the best. So
my great show. Thank you, girl. Appreciate it.
Was it the 21st? I'll be in Quincy on the USS Salem, doing an event there. Just so people know, make sure you buy tickets for that because USS Salem. Well, we're going to be the last group to do the USS Salem. They're not going to have groups anymore.
What?
They're not doing investigations anymore.
Shut the front
door. If you want to investigate battleship. Yep. If you want to investigate the USS Salem to get your last chance, make sure you hit up Third Eye and all that with Larissa Rex and get your tickets and join us because it could be the last opportunity you get to go into a controlled environment and be able to research the USS Salem. And of course, the Salem Paragon and Horror Fest. Make sure you join it on www.theshadowsofsalem.com. We're having the 50th anniversary of the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. We got 4 of the people from the movie are going to be there. We got all kinds of paranormal peeps are going to be there talking. Vendors galore in the heart of Halloween season, October 18th through the 20th. Make sure you go on www.theshadowsofsalem.com and check out that cool website. I always got events coming up, psychic fairs, all that. But just, keep up with the Shaman and the Showman LLC. But most of all, keep up with John Griffin there, what he's doing. That's important stuff. So make sure, good dude. And I've worked with him before. Unfortunately, it was on a show and I couldn't see what he was doing. He couldn't see what I was doing. But we got to hang out a little bit, and that was fun. I always like connecting with John.
John's a pretty laid-back dude. He's pretty smart, pretty scientific, but at the same time, he's a pretty good goofy motherfucker. We'll sit there and laugh at the table.
Oh, yeah. You have to. If you don't laugh in this industry, you're in the wrong industry. You got.
I got a million more questions about you going to your brother's gravesite every day, John, and all that shit. So I got to get you back on. But they're kicking me off now. I got to get going. Any last words before I pull the switch?
Last word.
So seriously, I fucking mean it. Tomorrow I'm gonna text you guys or whatever, and I'm thinking middle of October we come back on and do another roundtable. Us 3. I think it's fun. I think we have some more questions.
Heck yeah, man.
Go to the hour and a half. Does that sound good, John?
Yeah, let's do it.
It's the way it's supposed to be.
You're fucking live and recorded, so you can't back out because I'll go back and use it in court.
Well, plus the thing is no egos here right now. We could discuss.
That's what I mean. It's 3 dudes rapping,
judgmental, and just exchange ideas. And I think I'm hoping in the future a lot of these people are watching are able to do that too. Enough of the BS, and I'm more than happy to talk to anybody because I'm one of those guys. I'll never show you ego. Because I don't want to get far away from spirit because I'm still trying to find answers just like John and just like Adam and anybody watching.
Thomas called me personally on the phone to see how I'm doing. I go, how you feeling? I go, I'm not good. He's like, I know. I'm like, how the fuck do you know? I ain't told anybody. I don't go on Facebook. I don't feel like shit. I just promote people. But he called me up last week, son of a bitch. So yeah, man. Thomas Patrick Gormley, Archangel of the Paranormal. He's not doing his shit right now with Tuesday Morning Serial. I think we need to have it back soon, but he's taking a break. Yeah. But you can find him with all the Paracons, Paracon, Paracon, in Connecticut.
Busy season, baby. Gotta rest in some spots and another. So taking a little.
You ain't resting until December, motherfucker. It's spooky.
Yeah, it's all gonna be advertising for me when you see me online, or just some funny stuff to make you guys feel good for the day. So
you and I research, fucking A, man. The path of communication. Just John Griffin II himself. Thomas Patrick Gormley, a.k.a. the Archangel of Paranormal. You couldn't ask for 2 better straight shooters. I would literally trust my firstborn with you guys if I had one. So, I don't. But, I mean, honestly, dude, I'm not bullshitting you guys. Like, I would go to you guys for any info because you guys hold no punches. You're smart shit, and you'll tell me like it is. So, shit, man, I appreciate you guys coming on. Thank you so much. This will be up on YouTube probably Saturday, okay? And I'll tag you guys in it. And, that's all, folks. Have a good night, guys.
Take your time.